books and reports and whatnot, but what's important about it is it only gives you abstracts, not the full text. So there are a few particular databases that are probably going to be better than other ones. Academic Universe is another version of LexisNexis. It's a subset of it. Academic Search Premier is a different subset of BESCO host. So keep in mind these for a moment. I also want to show you the Arts and Sciences collections from JSTOR. JSTOR is, as it says here, is a multidisciplinary collection containing 359 journal titles in disciplines such as history, economics, Asian studies, classics, archaeology, ecology, education, etc., etc. JSTOR is full text, as you can see, and it's also really good. So you can also find it right here, just under JSTOR. Its name. You should probably just get to know that name. So if we click on that, what you need to do is, since I'm not on campus right now, I have to enter my username and my password. As you can see, the username is the Lehman email account login, along with the same password that you use for your email. So this is your Lehman email account, not any other email account. Sometimes I can't spell my own name. So now I can go in. By the way, if you're on campus looking at this, you won't have to log in that way. Most campus computers should be set up to where you can just automatically automatically go into these things. So what are important are the search and the browse for right now. If we click on search, we get this link. You can also go into an advanced search, in which you can look for multiple things. But let's stick with the basic search for right now. If I just wanted to look for advertising and identity, then I would just type that in, click enter. And what you do is you get a lot of, this brings back almost 20,000 results. So what's important, you see something called review untitled. Generally that's a review of a book, and what you can see is the person who wrote the review, Game Edition, it's 1966, whatever, but you can also find the reviewed work, which is a book called Marketing, Michelin, Advertising, and Cultural Identity in the 20th Century France. Every once in a while something like this might be helpful, but one problem you can see is it says there's a link to an article and you can save the citation, but there's no full text. And you can know there's no full text because you can't click on it because it's black instead of blue, or it's just regular bolded text instead of a hyperlink. So going down, we can see this one also, Supply and Demand for Advertising Messages is the title of this article, written by Lester Telser. But this is also important. These are good things to look for. You have, I'm not going to highlight everything, you have right here the American Economic Review. This is the title of the journal that it's in. What you also see is the volume number and the volume 56 issues. This is 1, 2, it's combined issue. This was published in March of 1966. And you can see the pages. This spans from page 457 to page 466, which means it's only 9 pages long. So this might not be the sort of thing that you want, but we'll go ahead and click on it just to see it. What you can do first is you can click on it right there. And what it'll do is it will take you into this big page, and you can see that it has highlighted all the instances of advertising and identity. So this is actually pretty good to do. What you want to do is just read the beginning of it and to see if this is going to be helpful at all. You might find a lot of stuff that isn't very helpful. So the amount of advertising is excessive relative to demand because In most cases, advertising is provided at zero price to potential buyers, while the cost of advertising is positive to society. So this doesn't really look like it's going to be as helpful for us. But one thing that is kind of important is just the way this article is written, so you can see if it's helpful or not. It just starts off by saying there is this argument in advertising that says this, right? And then this is what he says he's going to be doing for the rest of this article. He says, I propose to assess the validity of this argument. At the outset, this requires consideration of whether consumers have a limited range of choice between advertised and unadvertised goods, as suggested by this criticism of advertising. And so this is his hypothesis. This isn't a thesis statement. It's, as it says, there's no strong language here. I propose to assess the validity of this argument, right? And at the outset, this requires a consideration of whether this happens. It's not a position on it. It's not that. It's not written in such a way that consumers have a limited range of choice. But so you know approximately what he's going to be arguing throughout this. Now, if this looks helpful, read it and go for it. If you look up here, you can see you can have the options to print, download. There's more article information and whatnot. So if you go to download, what you do is you come to this page. By the way, when I was talking about metadata, this is pretty much all the metadata that you need. Just put right there. Here's the title, the author, the journal name, which is also the place where it's published, the volume, the issue number, the dates, and the pages. And so what you can find is you can download it in a few versions usually. You can download it in TIFF format, which are just a bunch of pictures, but that's not as great. What we want to do usually is get something like a high quality PDF or an economy PDF. And so if you click on that, it'll start to download. And then, lo and behold, you find the PDF right here. And JSTOR always puts this cover page on everything. And so you have all of that metadata originally right here. You also have a link to find it in the database. Granted, you have to be logged into JSTOR or through the proxy to begin with. And then there's the article. If you're in a lot of browsers, I'm using Safari on a Mac, but a lot of other browsers will have the same sort of thing to where Adobe Acrobat will come up, or Adobe Reader will come up within the browser. If that's the case and you still want to save it, what you need to do is you need to click on this little disk version and then figure out where you want to save it. Maybe give it a fancy name, supply and demand American economic review, something like that, and press save. So we'll come back to that more. So let's go actually find something more helpful. I'm just demonstrating certain aspects. So what certain things that you might want to pay attention to is some of these articles can span like 60 pages. And if you don't want to give yourself a 60-page commitment, really pay attention to the number of pages that are there. So this one's only 8 pages, this one's only 6 pages. Granted, don't find the shortest ones. The shortest ones are generally not that helpful. This one's 2 pages. It's from the Journal of Marketing, but it might not be that helpful. Another thing that you want to do is you want to find stuff that's fairly recent. It's strange how old some of these are right now. It's 66 and 68. There's 89 coming up right here and here. 70, 55. I mean, stuff that's done in 1955 might not be as helpful for us because so much more scholarship has happened since then. And you can find some incredibly strange articles by doing this sort of stuff. Approximating farm level returns to incremental advertising expenditure, etc.